Welcome to Extropy on Air, the podcast from Extropy Advisors, where we dive into the world of AI, digital transformation, and the future of business. Each episode, we'll bring you perspective from leaders, innovators, and experts across industries, all focused on helping organizations and, more importantly, people thrive in a changing world. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome to Extropy on Air, the podcast where we're going to explore the future of finance, digital transformation, and the partnerships that power it. Again, my name is Kevin Zirkle with Extropy Advisors. This episode, we're going to serve as a little sneak peek in the world of intelligent invoice lifecycle management. We're going to take you through it with one of the most trusted platforms out in the enterprise finance space today, and that's with Basware. If your team is still spending hours keying invoices into SAP or your ERP system, or chasing approvals in Outlook, or wondering why payment errors keep happening, it's time to rethink that about what automation really means. Today, we're talking about a myth that persists in a lot of boardrooms and finance departments even today. That belief is your ERP system is all that you need for automation. So joining me today to bust that myth wide open from Basware is Kevin Farrell, a BD&A Special Projects over at Basware. So Kevin, certainly appreciate you joining us, and welcome to.
Thanks, Kevin. Excited to kick things off with you. We're certainly seeing a lot of momentum in this space, and I'm truly glad we're talking about it.
So let's dive right into it. I want to start with a phrase that we hear a lot. I know you guys at Basware hear it a lot, and that is, we already have SAP or Oracle. I mean, that's our automation. What else do we need? I'm going to let you break that down for us a little bit. I know it's not new to you.
No, not at all. And it's a fundamental misunderstanding. ERP systems like SAP, Oracle, NetSuite are designed for transaction management and not true workflow automation. Sure, they process invoices, but they don't eliminate manual tasks like data entry, PO matching, exception handling, approval routing, supplier inquiries. So what you end up with is a digitized manual labor, not automation. When someone says their ERP handles AP, what they really mean is my team is still manually keying invoices into the system. The ERP accepts it. It doesn't really read it. It doesn't validate it, classify it, or route it for intelligent approval. And the cost of that illusion grows with every invoice, every business unit, and every region, truly.
And we talked a little bit about it before the episode, but let's spell out what's at risk when companies stay stuck in that ERP-centric thinking. I know there's three key areas that we talked about. Why don't you just take us through those?
Really, you lose on three fronts, as you said, and as we talked about. And it's cost. It's at manual entry, late payments, and overstaffed AP teams. It's control, inconsistent approval paths and compliance gaps, and capacity. AP becomes a bottleneck instead of a business enabler. For instance, we had a client with $8 billion in annual revenue find $2.4 million in duplicate payments once we turned on Basware's audit and recovery tools. That's real money, Kevin. Yeah, and there's an opportunity cost. Yeah. You know, the more time your team spends chasing approvals or correcting error, the less time they have for forecasting, strategy, or analytics. It's AP as a tactical burden instead of a strategic lever.
That really is, we call it the silent tax of not modernizing. I mean, it doesn't always show up in the budget, but it's everywhere in the operation. So let's talk a little bit about what Basware does to change the equation there for companies.
Sure. Love it. We layer intelligence, automation, and visibility, across the full invoice lifecycle. That's capture invoices from any format or channel. Use AI to extract and validate, we smart PDF and smart coding for those who use us. Automate PO and non-PO matching. We're routing for approval based on policies, monitor and optimize process with embedded analytics, and detect anomalies and recover value via our AP assurance tools. It's an end-to-end. Most importantly, it's configurable. You don't need to customize your ERP. We do this across any ERP, geography or business model. Basware is ERP agnostic and scalable. You don't have to rewrite your ERP. You just optimize the layers around it. And when we talk to CIOs, their biggest fear is touching core ERP logic. Basware avoids that. And for SAP clients, for instance, we really do keep a clean core as they move from ECC to S/4HANA.
Yeah, and that's important, certainly in that CIO world that you talked about. And I love the way you frame that. I mean, it's kind of letting that ERP be the brain of the operation. We're not touching that, but it lets Basware then be the hands that do all the work intelligently. So I appreciate you framing it that way. Uh, one of the things that we like to do in these sessions is keep it real with our listeners, and we like to talk them through real examples of things that have happened with maybe companies that are similar to themselves. So, is there an example that you could walk us through of a client that went maybe from a very ERP heavy environment to becoming Basware enabled in that same ERP suite?
Yeah. Uh, we worked with a North American consumer goods company. They had over 300,000 invoices annually. Their SAP system required a heavy IT involvement to make any changes, whether it was new routing rule or an exceptions condition. Once we deployed Basware, the client had, touchless invoice rates hit 87% in under a year. Their approval routing time dropped from 11 days to 3 days. They repurposed some of their staff. They had 4 staff members move into more strategic roles. And then they used Basware Analytics to cut supplier onboarding time by 40%. What made this work was the partnership with Extropy advisors. He led the change management, aligned AP and procurement policies, and made sure the system matched the real world behaviors, not just ERP ideal workflows.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I thought that story sounded very familiar. Let's expand on that a little bit. Why does Basware consistently look to tap into Extropy to help some of these clients succeed? I'd love to get your perspective as the supplier on that.
That's a simple answer. Extropy bridges the gap between our software and the people using it. You all truly understand the pain points that CFOs care about, the disconnect between process design and day-to-day operation, and how to take that and turn that data into action. Then, guide the client through all the hypercare post-go live optimization. Those all become really important. We at Basware, we don't want our partners to disappear after a go live, and Extropy stays in the trenches with our client. You own the client outcomes, and that's rare, especially in the implementation world for us.
I mean, our approach has always been, you don't just install software. You truly need to deliver transformation. And it is a journey that we take every client through. So if we could, along those lines, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about what happens when clients try to go it alone. Not because they don't necessarily value the solution, but because they underestimate how truly critical it is that the implementation and the optimization phases really are. Do you have a story that talks to that a little bit?
One example that stands out is a large industrial manufacturing company, very well run, very resourceful. They had selected Basware and decided to manage, most of the implementation themselves, with a little bit of limited third-party support. Their IT and finance teams were deeply involved and generally committed to the campaign. The system technically went live, but over time, a few challenges started to surface. Approval chains weren't aligned with how the business actually operated. Exception handling wasn't fully mapped. So issues kept escalating back to the AP department. The team was still touching more invoices than expected. Most importantly, they weren't seeing the ROI they had built into the business case. I mean, that's critical. To their credit, they recognized pretty early on that they needed help, not because the technology didn't work, but because it hadn't yet been optimized for their specific environment. That's when they brought in Extropy. And it was a real turning point for them. You truly listened to the client, you assessed, and then you started to make targeted adjustments. That was important because their approval logic was updated based on their policy and behavior. Exception categories were fine-tuned and automated. Smart coding, one of our platforms, was retrained in using actual AP data, which is important. Supplier education was added to reduce mismatches at the source. So within 6 months, their touchless rate improved from, kind of a below standard 33% to to well over 78%. And they identified over 600,000 in value, recovery opportunities that they hadn't been able to see before. So the ROI really popped.
That's the kind of partnership we absolutely love. I mean, Basware provides such incredible bones of a system, and they were always there. It just needs sometimes the right tuning and the governance to unlock all the full potential that's there with the application. So, honestly, that story is more common than a lot of people think. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Tell you, Kevin, it's a great reminder. You can buy the right tool, but if it's not aligned with how your business actually runs, you're only capturing part of the value. And that's why we consistently recommend Extropy to our clients who want to go beyond just the implementation and drive real world results.
I tell you what, let's kind of role play for a second. And I'm going to be a CFO, and I'm going to say, this all sounds great, but I just don't have time for another system. What do we respond to that? I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you answer it anyway.
Yeah, that's where I like to say you're not adding complexity, you're removing it. Basware is a lightweight overlay that removes friction, cost from your current processes. Most of our deployments are module. They're fast. They integrate seamlessly. When you all Extropy are involved, the burden on the internal teams drops dramatically. You get a roadmap, playbook, and change management support. It's not another system. It's a shortcut to value, and really through you all.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we love how it integrates so nicely into most companies. If you could, maybe walk us through that, kind of where Basware fits into companies' existing technology stack that they might have in play today.
That's a good point. We integrate through APIs, secure file drops, or middleware, whatever the client needs are. Basware sits between supplier inputs and the ERP, and any ERP actually. And we ingest data from email, portals, PDF. We apply AI-driven enrichment and validation, and then we push that validated invoice into the ERP for posting. The whole ILM, Invoice Lifecycle Management. And from an IT security standpoint, we meet the highest standards. SOC 2, 2701, GDPR. So we're built for large finance organizations.
Without a doubt. And what's the difference that you're seeing between how maybe a mid-market and an enterprise buyer approach AP automation?
Mid-market clients want speed and simplicity. Enterprise buyers want scale and control. That's where we offer both. Our platform is flexible enough for both use cases. Interestingly enough, we're seeing more mid-market CFOs actually outpace the enterprise in automation because they're more agile, and they partner with Extropy. They often hit ROIs in 6 to 9 months.
Smaller teams, faster execution, big results. So yeah, for a lot of the listeners out there, this isn't just for the biggest of enterprise organizations out there. I mean, truly, this is something that fits in your particular environment. Let's wrap up with this. If I'm a CFO and I'm listening today, what can I do in the next 90 days to get this journey started? We need to start doing some things. What can I do?
They need to call us both. But then truly, let's start by benchmarking where you are. What's your touchless rate? What's your invoice cycle time? How many FTEs, full-time equivalents, do you need to process 100,000 invoices? And then come back. Then have a conversation with Basware and with Extropy. We can offer a free AP automation assessment to start you on that business case and help you build that out.
And that is a great place to start. I mean, assessment starts with A. Why not start there, right? I mean, you don't want to guess where you stand as an organization. You got to be able to measure it. Yeah. That's the only way that you can improve it. This has been great. I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you today. Thanks for taking us through Basware and the invoice lifecycle management market. It's a powerful start to more content that I know will be coming in the Basware side.
I truly appreciate this dialogue, and as always, the partnership you've shown over the years and going into the future. Really, really do appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you.
Same, you bet. Again, to all our listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed this first peek into Basware and some of the innovative things that they're doing in the area of invoice lifecycle management. We will be digging a lot deeper into this platform in the very near future. So we'll make sure that we let you know when it's out there and available, so be on the lookout for it. In the meantime, be sure to like, subscribe, and refer a friend to Extropy on Air so you never miss an episode. Until then, remember, we are here to help you transform forward. Have a great day. Appreciate it again, Kev. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Extropy On Air. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode, and connect with us at Extropy Advisors to continue the conversation on AI and digital transformation. Until next time, I'm Kevin Zirkle, and this has been Extropy On Air.